There are agendas and minutes, and that is the goals for 2025 that we'll be going over.
Okay. Oh, sorry, that's yours.
Oh, would you like?
No, I'm good. Can you give me one of the this time?
Yes.
And one of the goals?
All right, I will call the meeting to order. It's 5:19 p.m. Nice to see everybody. We have, do not have Beth abroad in the room. Present, we have Emily Chesson, Anthony Fitzpatrick. Hyatt is excused. Melissa is remote. Roberto is present. Dan Smith is excused. Jake Strauss is present, and Cal is present. Also myself, Julie Noble from Parks, and I'm the chair. We have Kevin McAvoy is a non-voting member. And if the guests want to identify themselves, and if you have any public comment for the record.
Yeah, Carol, we're trying to public comment.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Joe Lisbell. Thanks for having me. I'm actually from the Surface Environmental Board, relatively new member. Cal has been absolutely wonderful helping us with our climate smart certification process. So I'm here to observe some experts and maybe ask some questions later on if you have time.
Great, thank you. Can you repeat your name for us?
Joe Lisbell.
Joe? How do you spell your last name?
Yeah, it's Mispel.
Mispel. All right. Thanks for being here. And we have Bill Shuttle-Green from the Parks Department, from the Sustainability Office. Would you like to identify yourself and make any public comments?
Oh, me? Oh. Hello, Happy New Year still. Thanks much. And hope Kingston marches ahead.
Great. And Connor, right?
Yeah.
Connor, nice to see you again. Connor, do you have any public comment for the record?
No.
Good, nice to see you. And any of our guests, feel free to join in at any time. And if we'd like a copy of the agenda, they are here. Maybe Jake could hand them out, like, folks, you know.
Sure.
Great, so thank you, everyone. We're going to see if there are any modifications to the agenda.
I move G3 all the way up to the. Oh, up farther up.
Talk about the paint recycling sooner.
Yes.
Okay, is that because you have to leave earlier or because?
No, just because it has consistently been all the way back.
Okay, does anyone have any objection to doing that? Okay. Any other modifications? All right, great. Then we'll move on to review and approval of the February meeting minutes. I gave Kevin some very minor editorial changes.
Yeah, there's one thing that carried over from last month, the lobbying day, February 4th, that should have been really good. And the rest of it's grammatical, pretty much.
Okay. Are there any other modifications to the agenda? If not, I need a motion to accept the February meeting minutes as amended.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor? Melissa,
Yeah, you might say you voted.
we're going to assume you're in favor unless you let us know you are.
I
opposed.
I was trying to pull them up. I just pulled over to park. Did we say for this agenda, we're gonna discuss, like last meeting, we decided what our goals were, but who's gonna do what or wants to be on which subcommittee out of those goals? I just want to make sure that's on there.
Yep.
Okay, great. Then yes, I vote yes.
Okay, great. All right, on to organizational procedures, which I've added as a section on our running agenda because there's probably always something organizational that needs to happen. Membership renewals and applications. I would just like to thank officially Karen Sullivan for her service. Karen has completed her term and has decided not to renew. That does leave a vacancy in the voting commissioners. I did have a conversation with Kat on last month's meeting, and Kat requested a little bit of time to transition into a new position at work. So we will revisit that as time passes. And I don't have any additional applications in hand at this time, though there are, actually, I do have other applications in hand at this time, but there's no one else that has, well, I guess Connor. You have never come up with that. Have you given us an application?
I have not. Do I
Okay.
submit that online?
You would submit that online. So yeah, if you're interested in, submitting an application, you could submit for a voting position. You're not under the age of 21, are you?
I'm not.
You are under.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was the under 21 vacancy was popping up.
Okay, so would you be interested in that position?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, super. So then you would just submit an application online. So if you go to the city's website and there's like a boards and commissions page and it's right there. And then we will welcome you back at a future meeting. And then we would have a discussion at those meetings to see if you're a good fit.
Do you wanna do it after the meeting? You want to take a couple minutes? Computer?
I'll be.
I will just say that in terms of expirations, Zane's position expires tomorrow and Haya's position expires tomorrow. I have not spoken with Zane or Haya about whether they're interested in continuing. I will send a note tomorrow. I also don't have record of, Melissa, did you submit a renewal? I don't know, you're probably driving, which is complicated. But
Yeah.
maybe when you get there, you can let us know.
No, I have not yet. I'm gonna do that tomorrow, because I'll be back in Kingston and available.
Okay. I also have not received anything from Beta. It expired in 2018.
So,
She's still
so her fee is essentially open if there are applicants.
If there are applicants that would like it. Okay, so we, and I do have a pending, note from Brendan Walsh, who had submitted an application as well, that he would like to be considered, in sometime closer to June for that position, if there's still vacancy. So I don't know if there's any other discussion about membership at this point. Okay, if not, we'll talk about 2025 goals and initiatives. So I did my darndest to try to capture on this printed sheet, which is circulated in advance, the goals or the suggestions that we discussed at our meeting last month. In doing so, I broke it down as a random goal ID, which is literally just the order that we talked about it. It's not alphabetical, it's not important, it's just like based on importance or priority, it's just literally the order that we talked about it. Then I just gave it some sort of random name called, that was considered the initiative. I gave it what I consider to be the goal or description. I reviewed our climate action plan and to the best of my ability, considered whether it aligned with a specific climate action plan action, and if that is stated, then that is listed in that alignment for climate action plan. I then looked through the Climate Smart Communities program on a state level to see if it directly aligned with a Climate Smart Communities action. If it says a PE, so priority, and priority element maybe, I can't remember what PE stands for.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Let's say priority element, but that doesn't seem right. Then you'll see that next to that. I then identified CSKC role, so what I thought was the role. If there's a new initiative of Climate Smart Kingston, if it's something where Climate Smart is supporting the city or supporting another entity, then it says the word support. Then I put in here, if we talked about it at the meeting, I didn't populate anything else besides what we talked about, and I didn't use any discretion on it. In the action column, what the action might be pertaining to that initiative, and I left a space for notes. So what I would love to happen today is to go through these and create and populate that action section, and figure out what the role is, what the actions or action is, and who would be working on it. Does that seem,
I would like to propose that we make that a time bound discussion.
I love that idea. It is 5:30.
So do we want to like give it 15 minutes and then if we need more time, we check in 15? So that, like,
Sure.
We will guarantee you 15 minutes.
but we may not need 15 minutes to do it. We may need a lot more. I just think,
Yeah.
let's check it at a certain time and decide whether we want to work
Sounds
on this more or revisit it next meeting.
Yep, sounds good. I'll put on the timer for 15.
Thank you.
Pledge element.
Pledge element.
Pledge element.
Pledge. I would never have guessed that.
I would have got
It's
there
on the
eventually.
front page of the Climate Smart Communities.
Okay, so, and certainly anyone can speak up. If you were the one who suggested it, feel free to chime in. Anyone can chime in, including the peanut gallery. So initiative number 1, I wrote down was benchmarking performance standard. I assume that goal would be adopt benchmarking requirements for commercial and multifamily buildings. That is the exact wording from our climate action plan, which is why I assumed it. That's climate action plan action number 7, and it aligns with pledge element number 3 and 8. I gotta write that down, pledge element. And it would be something new that my office is not working on at all. So is this some, I guess the lens of all this is, does it stay on the list? Where, how much of a priority is it? What's the action? Who's doing it? Or is there someone else already doing it? Does it need tag team? Is there someone we can support that's doing it?
Do we know of any other local municipalities who have something similar? Use
I
them
know
as a group.
HBRC was working with a few folks throughout the Hudson Valley to adopt benchmarking standards. I believe.
Okay,
So-
certainly one action could be review what other municipalities have it.
Get in touch with HBRC.
Yeah. I can ask.
I think if like that's it. They have like a, whatever they call it, digital twin for their city. Which is a sort of extreme.
Yeah.
When, I don't know this term.
I think it's a fancy way of saying they have a list of every single building and like the square footage and stuff like that for the buildings. And then they're
Database.
like a database.
It's really fancy, okay.
But
I'm
I
not
might be
seeing
wrong, it
actual-
might be like a crazy 3D thing or something. They talk
I've
about
seen
it
actual digital twins of cities.
where it's like a physical 3D.
Yeah, it's like a, well, it's like a virtual 3D model.
Okay, so that might be what they have.
And yeah.
Pretty cool.
One curious, we'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got ask HVRC and find out what other municipalities have it.
Is that something you do?
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like Betta had a lot to say about the benchmarking.
I agree, and she said she's on her way.
Present, but she's on her way.
She's on her way.
So we can maybe check with her.
Check with Betta.
Although I think her bandwidth tends to be low, so she may have like ideas of how to approach it, but I wonder how much she'd be able to take on.
Okay, is the ultimate goal to actually adopt benchmarking requirements? And then have that be stewarded through this commission?
That seems like a good case, yeah.
Feels ambitious.
That feels ambitious and it's going to need some really good backup,
Yeah,
because that's going to be a challenge to do it.
yeah.
There are, so just like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Mhm.
6, 7, 8, there's 8 new initiatives. And then I don't know how many supports. We can, like, maybe, yeah, we just go through all of them and then prioritize after that.
Yep, we can do that.
Or do we prioritize first? I don't know.
Well, I think maybe we could go through first and say what actions we need to happen, so we
Yeah.
know it's like, oh, well, that's just
That's
one
an easy
thing.
lift versus,
Yeah.
because I don't think we want like 8 heavy lifts.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like 1 heavy lift, or
Okay.
maybe it's like 3 things, you know?
So I would say that in our evaluation, we'll also give it like a 1, 2, or 3. 1 is like easy left, 2 is like medium, 3 is like, this is a long shot or a lot of work. I would say this is a 3 as well. So this would be difficulty level 3. Solar readiness, stop me if you still want to keep chatting about it. I'm gonna move on to stay on timeline.
Keep going, yeah.
Solar readiness would be the language from our number 4 climate action plans require the installation of solar PV on new construction. And one of the things, and I don't know if this was directly affiliated, but I know that somebody asked, how is solar permitting currently going? Which I guess would be part of the due diligence. Another part of it would be just researching what other communities have it, what other communities have it.
Also seems like a 3, right, for the stated goal here.
Okay,
So how would this commission go about asking the Ulster IDA to amend their the way they score pilots to give points for some of these things? Like they do already offer points for sustainable practices and building and stuff, but I don't, it doesn't go as deep as specifically like solar and EV accessibility.
I have no familiarity whatsoever with the IDA's point system, rating system, or any role that they really have, so I'm not sure how to really answer that.
So I guess what would the best way for this commission to ask a different, I don't know, government agency, like, I don't know how you wanna call that, but like, anyone
What
for,
is the idea?
you know, the IDA is they're a board that's given power to the state of New York to basically give financial aid to developers.
We only have authorization over advising the city. So if it's it is a non-city entity, which it is, we wouldn't have any authorization over advising on that. What are you trying to do?
Do you think we could write a letter to the mayor asking him to, cause he frequently weighs in when they change things like that, we just changed the housing policy last fall. And he got an opportunity to add no, I guess that's one of the ways that I feel like we could do something with that.
So the IDA has control over requiring solar?
Well, so they have control over giving people who build who develop tax breaks over a period of time, and the powers from the state of New York to give these breaks is defined by an act that is partially made up of environmental sustainability. You know, most of it's economic development and that, but in the state of New York, a part of it is encouraging the practices that are going to get us to.
So that could be an action.
Yeah, but that's not enough. My interpretation is that wouldn't be in our lane. Our lane is we can advise.
Can I chime in?
Sure.
I mean, like, I don't know if this is what exactly we're talking about, but like for the solar mapping tool, we look at amending a municipality zoning code to be like open to developers, and Kevin and me were looking at that a few months ago. I don't really remember where we landed, but like, is that where you're getting at, Anthony, or not necessarily?
No.
No,
Okay.
Put a pin in that for a second, because we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
The IDA is appointed by who?
The county legislature.
Right, so as I was saying, we can advise the planning board to have the planning board make recommendations or encourage developers to be doing this. We can also have the common council pass in order to require the installation, it would have to be either in the zoning code. I would presume, or a new piece of legislation that was passed through the common council. But for the city to advise a county level body, in my opinion, is out of our lane. We could bring it up, we could have Betta bring it up at the Ulster County Climate Smart Committee. That would be the venue where the county might advise the county IDA to do it. I think that could be a role or an avenue to do it. But I don't personally think that that is in our jurisdiction to be advising a non-city entity. I don't know how other people think about what other people think.
Sounds right.
We could send them a letter, communication or something,
To the Ulster County IDA.
could. Not saying we have to, we could.
I don't feel like I understand what we're asking them to do.
Yeah, right. Like, we
I also
we'll
want-
flush it out a little bit.
Yeah, I also want to maybe take a step
We
back.
can move on, it
Yeah,
is
new idea.
rather complicated.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's just make a note of it.
Yeah, flush it out more, I guess.
I do have a thought on the solar readiness point. I think require the installation of solar PV on new construction is maybe a couple steps. Like there's maybe a couple steps intermediary there. Does the city already require that new construction be solar ready? Like that solar can go on? Or like pipes have to go on the north side of the building? Does anything like that already exist in the code for the building department? Because if not, that is a much lower lift
Yeah.
intermediary step that we could propose. That's, we could send a letter, of recommendation for something like that. That's not requiring a builder to put solar on, it's requiring that they take into consideration whether solar would be able to be put on in the future instead of putting obstacles in the way.
I don't remember, and Phil, I don't know if you remember when we were doing the renewable energy implementation plan. Yeah,
No.
I don't remember either. So, but it could be a phased approach, solar readiness from now till 2030, after 2030, solar installation.
Something like that. I mean, I think it might be worth looking into whether anything in that sort of realm already exists in the code, and if not, are there other places that have that kind of language in the code that we could look at and maybe recommend?
Okay, other notes on this solar readiness? Okay, Betta, since you're here, we want to go back to benchmarking because we feel like that was primarily put forward by you.
So, I said benchmarking and I actually meant a building performance standard. That's what I meant.
Okay,
I mean, there's
Slash
nothing
performance.
wrong with benchmarking, but, and I'm not saying we shouldn't pursue it, but, yeah, I was actually thinking along the lines of a building performance standard. And I was hoping to have like a model version that I could share, but still working on that, like for a smaller city like Kingston. Ithaca's passed something, but I don't necessarily think we'd want to go down that route, but there's probably is a version, but yeah, if it's something we could put a pin in.
Would a performance standard necessitate benchmarking beforehand though?
Well, they just sort of go hand in hand, yeah.
Okay, so I think the current actions, which municipalities have it, speak with HVRC, and that it's a heavy lift, all still apply.
I mean, it would be great to, when was the last time that we had any like interaction with the climate smart communities, people at NYSERDA?
Climate smart communities people?
Clean energy,
Hubs.
well, even climate smart,
Climate Smart, it's the coordinators, they do both CSC and C.
Right.
So it's like essentially. the same.
right, yeah. Well, I'm just thinking like, if we could connect with them and they could, I'm sure they probably have, right, that aggregated like what the leading edge kind of smaller cities have already done.
Yeah, are you talking about the Hudson Valley Regional Council?
No, I was talking about the, the like people actually at NYSERDA. Who are the staff that, work on climate smart communities and work on, I guess it's also DEC too, right?
Yeah, I don't.
DEC
I'm not
and
familiar with NYSERDA.
clean energy communities.
So does
Here, we
it,
have someone from NYSERDA, but I know that everything's very siloed,
Yeah.
so it's like, you know.
Yeah, no, it's like Kelly Tyler's group. It's like Chris Rigor.
And then Dazzle, I thought it.
Mhm.
But I would say like you could ask Eleanor and Carla at HBRC, just to see what they know about it. Because I know that they got a federal grant and I don't know what the status of that grant is now. But to help like the city of Yonkers and like a couple other cities with building performance standards.
Oh,
for
really?
benchmarking. I think that was the initial plan for
Okay,
it. It was one of the big, I forget what they're called, but it was like a big grant last year. And it was very competitive. I can ask.
okay, and I was gonna reach out to, Luis, what's his name, who used to be at Ithaca, in the city of Ithaca, and now he's at NYSERDA.
Is it our financing group?
Yeah, Gutierrez.
Okay.
okay, so we spent a few minutes on 2 of these. Gotten like 1.5 actions. Do we want to just try to rapid fire these and like draft what the immediate action is? And then review priority? Or if we do this detail of the review of each of them, this is all we're gonna do today.
Whatever the group wants to do. I could also put another 15 minutes on, see where we are at that point.
That's good to me.
Al, you want to suggest the timer?
Yeah, I mean, I think 10 to 15 and then as we move on is possible, but I mean, do keep in mind that usually the full agenda takes the full 2 hours.
Right.
So anything we're adding on now is going to come out at the end of the meeting, so.
If there's a different way to do this, people should advise.
Yeah, I think it may be that if we want to run down and see like, okay, who wants to take, 1 or 2 people take each bullet, figure out what it would take to do it, and if no one has the initiation energy to say, I'd like to take that on, and we simply move on from it, and we aren't gonna have the energy to accomplish anything on it. That might be my suggestion. And so we say, okay, who wants to take point on figuring out what it would take to accomplish, adopt EV-ready building codes for EV readiness? Who wants to take that and come back to the group with the answer to that question, instead of us trying to figure it out together? That was one way to make it not be as time consuming. And then next month, if people come in and they've done their homework, then we can, compare. And if people haven't done their homework, then we know that, okay, there wasn't enough energy to get the information. We should drop that one. That would be my suggestion.
Honestly, as soon as I read the words, we will be filling this out together, I was like, okay, I don't have to look at this at all, we're gonna do this later. But,
I like Cal's idea. Does anyone else game with Cal's idea?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, sorry, I just got a text from someone that says I'm in a little blizzard right now and they're in stories.
We had a blizzard at my house about half an hour before I left.
What?
Yep. It's like, what time?
There are clouds over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
All right,
So I guess the idea would be, okay, building performance standards and benchmarking, who wants to take point on that? And if
I
no
will do
one-
that.
You
I
think,
will do
okay,
that, yes.
so then I will come back with a.
What, I have actually that in my work plan, starting in like June. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make a ton of progress for next month's meeting, but, I'll try to make some progress.
Cool. So then, is it helpful if I run down the list or do you want to? Great. Solar readiness, does anyone want to take that on at this point? To come back with, you don't have to solve the problem, you have to come back with, here's a proposal of how we could solve the problem. I could put some energy into that, but I shouldn't do it by myself.
I will.
You will? Okay.
I'll have for, something.
Anthony, do you want to collab on that or do you want to?
Yeah.
You want to collab, okay, all right. EV readiness, anyone feel strongly about taking point on figuring out how we might go about getting the municipality to adopt EV-ready building codes?
I can do these things. I can check New York stretch code and zoning to see what they say about it.
Okay,
You could email Adam Ruder,
Ruder?
Ruder. He's the heads up EV stuff at NYSERDA.
You want, we can work on this together?
Yeah, sure.
okay, great. PACE financing, anyone feel strongly about figuring out stuff about PACE? I think we've had low enthusiasm last.
Yeah,
but the
let's take-
slash financing mechanism was the higher enthusiasm.
I see, okay,
Let's take a fork and pace,
crossing it out.
and the other financing mechanism kind of relates to the building performance standard, because in order to pursue this other funding mechanism that I was alluding to, you have to adopt a building performance
rely on
standard
I
first.
see.
Yeah,
Do you wanna look at both of those, or is that? Okay, alright.
I also feel as though we should probably have a really succinct, possibly memo or white paper or paragraph that says why we are abandoning PACE, because it is identified as one of 20 actions in our climate action plan.
I'll look into pace.
Great.
Community gardens, we have, support expansion and use of community gardens, local food production. The bullet on that is connect with Grow Well, but it was just a support idea, so we maybe don't need a lot of work on that, but if someone wanna do the outreach,
Yeah.
you wanna do the outreach? Okay. Don't say too many things.
Well, I mean-
Don't hurt yourself.
Grow well is like me, so.
Wonderful. Great.
I'll forward you any correspondence I get from either Kristen or Emily Flynn, Kristen Kessler or Emily Flynn.
Okay, battery storage. Understand role of battery storage in municipal portfolio. This sounds like an analysis. Who would like to take point on figuring out what the steps would be to do that?
I just want to add color to this one. It is not specifically called out in our.
Oh, like a band that has material.
It is not the climate action plan number one. Climate action plan number one is 100% renewable electricity in municipal operations. I associated it closest to that.
I see.
It is not, the climate action plan does not mention the word battery, in my understanding.
Who wants to?
Nor
look
does
at that?
PE4.
I mean, I can look into, okay, you're saying it's not included in currently any of the planning.
I feel
I
like.
guess, no, go ahead.
But it's frankly, it's been on this agenda for over a year.
Yeah, I feel like you just did a bunch of analysis of like which buildings are using what energy, and maybe that could inform where battery storage would make the most sense if someone
Yeah.
wants to do that analysis using the information you already got.
I looked at,
I thought you sounded like you were. But Emily,
All right, so we work together.
Yeah,
cool, beautiful.
I looked at, like, what is considered to be like battery storage. Every time I look at it, it seems like for this area and like how Central Hudson operates, it's just, it kind of not something that can happen well or efficiently because of the energy that goes into them. Because these are like the facilities, right? Like the big.
I think it could be a facility or it could be battery backup for a building.
Yeah.
I think it could be either.
Oh, all right.
I think
Oh.
that's the question, is how it makes sense.
Yeah.
CCA support, that would be supporting, the Hudson energy transition, I guess. Does someone want to take point on figuring out what support they would need from us? I think that's pretty straightforward. You just reach out to somebody from.
Yeah, I can do that.
Can I do that?
Are you in that? Or is Melissa? No.
No.
No ears from him.
Right. Okay. Cool. Then I will wait for
we're
that.
MCAT adjacent.
Right. Do you have a good contact?
Do I have a contact? Yes.
Great. Okay. Okay, that's you.
Okay, bus ridership, we just got the survey from UCAT. Other than filling out the survey, does somebody want to see if they want any other support from us? Or do we want to say filling out the survey is what we're going to do? You sure? So
Yeah,
much.
sure.
Okay.
Also, if you haven't done the survey, it's really fun.
Is it?
I
I
think
haven't
so.
done it yet. I
I
haven't.
thought it was fun.
Sorry. All right, Anthony will reach out. Okay, clean mobility, generally, I think this is both, yes, it does go on to the next page. So it's increasing walkability and bikeability and also implementing the dockless bike or scooter program. Who wants to take point on figuring out what that would take?
That would be connecting with the health and wellness office, Emily Flynn.
But I'll take that too.
You're just gonna shoot off 20
I can
emails
definitely
in one
do it.
blast. I mean, if you got more than you want. And not everyone has to, not everything has to get picked up if there isn't energy, that's okay. I feel like for me, I'm interested in this, but the common council sort of dash
So that one has evolved a little bit to, I think we're leaning, I mean, I'm not totally sure, but also talking about just having like an electric bike rebate program, as opposed to the shared system. There might be some issues with in the town's so small to have a shared system, and in terms of what populations benefit from it. And there will be, through the consultation process, there will be opportunities for outreach. So that's the thing where I can imagine this group doing some good would be helping coordinate outreach.
Okay.
But it wasn't just for an e-bike, it was also just like a bike share.
So the bike share was, the way we went into it, but we're still in the early stages, but there's some questions about whether a bike share would actually work. Whereas like a e-bike rebate or a bike rebate program is like literally one bike is a success. You get one bike, you know? Whereas like a bike share, there might be $1,000 spent and nobody ever uses them.
So this might be a situation where we can stay tuned to what is already in progress, and that when there are opportunities for support, we can jump in and support, but there might not be some resources that have announced.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm involved with it, so I can keep everyone abreast of what's going on.
Okay, so no action needed on this one right now, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, but there's going to be, with this clean mobility grant that we actually have, there could be outreach and everything. Like, but you're saying you're connected enough to Emily Flynn that Anthony doesn't need to do anything with that.
Right, yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there doesn't need to be more work on that. Am I understanding or am I reversed?
There could be a role for Climate Smart to be supporting Emily Flynn's work on the clean mobility grant to be determined what that support will be.
Okay, perfect.
Bill will tell us.
Yeah.
Maybe the agenda, we have bike share on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, e-mobility grant, and then it's an agenda item, and you can read that.
Yep.
Is that your text? Okay, we're almost done. Renewable diesel adoption. Does anyone want to work on? This is a support one because it's already in progress for the city. Does anyone want to look into what we need for that, or is this another situation where you will tell us if you need support?
Dan Smith said he'd look into the home heating part of it.
Dan's doing it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like he was really excited about
Yep,
Okay.
he said I can't be here, I'll do that.
Dan,
Sweet.
sweet.
Dan with Phil.
Heat island effect. Who wants to look into this, if anyone? Roberto would like to. Okay. Our web presence would be a new initiative. We don't have a lot of energy for this because it's hard to maintain a web presence historically. Does anyone want to take a point on that? I'm just like making a plan, not having to execute it per se.
Would it be like, just like updating the existing Climate Smart Facebook page?
Which is grossly outdated.
I would be.
Well, that at the very least.
action.
Sure, yeah, the question is what are the actions that we would want to take even before rolling them out? So one might be look at the website and be like, what needs to be updated?
Yeah, I could help update the page, but I was just thinking like, I don't want to do like a social media presence or anything.
We have Kaya doing that, I think, at least on Facebook.
That's right.
I
Okay,
think if you could like even copy the current, content into like a Google Doc and make some suggestions and.
Yeah. definitely.
Because a lot of it, was very outdated, and I think last time we talked about adding some additional resources.
I love resources. And making web pages, I have several template web pages that I make.
nice, that role. It seems plausible that Kaya will work with you on that, but
Cool.
we won't. You can probably have. Okay, last, building electrification protocol, develop protocol and policy for municipal building electrification. This would be a brand new initiative. That's big. Does anyone want to keep that up with this?
Gotta even mention that you were working on it.
But, okay, yeah, you can put me down. I'm not exactly sure what we meant by the protocol, but sure.
I want to have a policy that states that we need to electrify our buildings.
Yeah, well, that could tie into a building performance standard too, right?
I could help with that as well.
And first step is probably also seeing what exists in the policies of other local spots, right?
I know sometimes it's like a replacement policy, so like if you're
Yeah.
doing like certain upgrades, but you have to figure out like what upgrades
Yes.
qualify you for making the electrification. So like if you're replacing like, you know, a bunch of your air conditioning, you might as well. Um, there are definitely municipalities that have like fully fledged policies.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for.
I would be willing to help with that. Okay, research and stuff.
Okay, we did it.
Well done. In addition to the things on here, I just want to re-go through what's in old business to make sure that they're not just here for the sake of being here. They're currently here because they're in our climate action plan, and usually Phil or I are giving an update on a number of the things, but for instance, so Repair Cafe, we're gonna keep doing that, yes, refrigerants, yes. I know we talked about it a little bit last time, but like I wanna have more clarity. Outreach and education, there will always be either an earth care or environmental education. Clean electricity, we've got a lot of different things that could fall under this. I can, well, I guess really the question is, how are these things going to fit into the agenda?
Yeah. Because some of them are,
So they should get woven in?
I don't think we should decide that until after everybody has done their homework and reported back. And
Okay.
then we decide from the things that people have looked into, which of them we are taking on and in what way.
Okay, so next month, we're going to have the same 2025 goals and initiatives as its own thing.
I think that's right, and it's like a report back,
Yeah,
and
okay.
from there, we should set a time for that too, like not more than half an
Okay.
hour. And determine from that which ones we add to the agenda.
Okay. One of the questions on here that I guess we'll talk to Roberto about clean hydrogen. You want to continue to have that on here? Because that's not currently an initiative that we identified in the priorities. You want to continue with that?
No.
Take it off
What do you mean, on
agenda.
the general,
Like repeating every month, not
no, why we just do
Okay.
have the demo today.
And then if there's any big updates, we can talk about it.
I always have education, workforce opportunities, and green jobs on here because I think it's important. But we don't have someone assigned to be doing that. We don't have any action related to green jobs. It's always like, does anyone know about anything related to green jobs? Does that warrant a place on the agenda?
It could go under outreach and education, it doesn't have to be its own bullet, I don't think.
Okay. Sustainable mobility and land use, we discussed already, and I think that holds its own. Managing resources sustainably, I also believe holds its own.
What's the difference between food systems policy and Kingston Organics?
Kingston Organics is the food scraps diversion program that the
Right.
city operates through our municipal sanitation division. Food systems policy is going through the Health and Wellness Committee, and that's a policy on how the city should be promoting local food production.
Oh, okay.
And then resiliency initiatives is really city actions that are getting us towards being more resilient. So I think that might just be an update every month, on that. Are there other things that people don't see captured anywhere? Oh, 15, that was our second 15. Anything else we want to capture? Cal, thank you for working us through that. Everyone should work with their assigned roles and bring us back, again, not research on it at this point, just how we will achieve what the goal is.
Right.
We don't need to know, have a million different examples of EV readiness from other locations. We need to know how is Climate Smart going to impact EV readiness in the city of Kingston.
Like, under the P3, there's like
Yep.
the list of, is
That's a great resource.
picking these things, would that be more focused?
You're saying go through the actions?
Well, yeah, like there's there's a long list for P3 and they're all have to do with government, building, energy, audit,
So those are the actions, right?
just decreasing energy use.
Right, if you look on, if you go onto the City of Kingston's Climate Smart Communities report, you can get to Kingston's and you can see all the things that we've done. The things that are on this list haven't been done yet.
Right.
So yes, when you're doing your reviewing, you should review both what our climate action plan states and also the climate smart element, because ideally, whatever we're doing will get us a checkbox on our climate action plan and points in the climate smart communities program for the next time we need to renew. So yeah, you should check that website. But in terms of looking through there now and seeing what other things we want to do, we're way past that. That can happen next year, 2026. Everyone okay with that?
Great.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Moving on to old business, refrigerant management program. I've put together a draft RFP language for the refrigerant consultant. I've circulated that to our project advisory committee, requesting response on comments on it. I hope to have that back this week. I will be inserting that into the template for the RFP and issuing RFP in the beginning of April. That way we will bring in a consultant that will start in May and complete the project within a year or less. And so I think the language looks pretty complete, but that's my opinion because I wrote it. So I'm looking forward to the response from other folks who are on the refrigerant team to give me some comments on that.
I thought it was perfect.
Okay, thanks. Repair Cafe, any updates on Repair Cafe?
I don't think so. Melissa, do you have anything to update?
No, I think that we reported on our last one at the last meeting. We're gonna have one in April. We're gonna meet sometime soon to plan next steps, and we'll be circulating a flyer as usual to help promote. But we're in a pretty good groove right now, so nothing much.
Cool, well done.
Yeah.
Outreach and education, environmental ed is, maple sugaring is now over, and it may be over forever because,
Bad season.
well, and
It's chaotic.
the program has changed over time, and it seems as though the alignment with the school district's curriculum and the way that we are able to deliver it maybe not super anymore, so we're gonna reevaluate that next year. Now we're moving into Forest Lake Nature Center programming. Phil is going to be delivering some geology classes. We talked about that before. I was in Miller Middle School today, and I taught 75 eighth graders about climate action. Which is great. So there's a lot of environmental ed moving on. We're also hiring right now for a seasonal environmental educator, which will start as soon as possible and work through September. And that person would have, will be working with Casey and Phil and I, and we're also hiring a junior, for junior naturalist camp counselors. So people who want to help out with junior naturalist summer camp and work Monday through Friday for 7 weeks in summer, from like 8:30 to 3:30.
Where are those posted?
They are on the rec desk page, so if you go to the city's website and you go to Parks and Recreation, it will direct you there.
Should we boost those on the Facebook?
I would love that.
That's a good idea.
And I think applications are due like April 15th.
I know Melissa sometimes updates the Facebook since Kaya isn't here. Melissa, would you be up for doing the Facebook updates this month, or are you over encumbered?
When does it need to be updated by?
As soon as possible, they're due really soon.
Do you have, I'm sorry, I missed it. Do you have like something you can send me to post?
Just the links to the, like, we're hiring for these positions and then links to the jobs, right? Or a link to the postings page?
Yeah, I mean, I can send you
A brief paragraph or something?
Sure.
Okay, then I can post.
Bill, anything else on environmental ed programming you want to see?
No, I think that sounds good. Looking forward to the field trips.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to be bringing the folks from the high school, probably 4 or 5 classes down Broadway, and we're going to be exploring the green infrastructure with some of their classes, with Sophia Sagan in her classes. So,
Oh, the same crew. Wow, the geology students are having a great time. That's awesome.
And that's exactly what they should be doing, walking out the door and seeing real life examples of great things happening. All right, Earth Fair is coming along. It's getting there. We put out the press last week, so it is now all systems go. Share it as much as you possibly can. The copy has all gone to the printer for print. And so we should be having that, those printed materials in the beginning of April, and I will be doing a push And I will have lists of where I need things to be delivered to, both posters and palm cards and lawn signs. So I hope that I have a good response from climate smart folks to help to do that.
Can I just say that I did get Turning Mill to change the address, so they're going to be sent to Beta now. And then they said by early April, like first week in April, we should have everything. So then Beta, you'll have to just bring over to Julie's office when you get that stuff delivered.
Okay,
Anything else on Earth Fair that needs to be brought up here, or anyone else that's doing part of the planning? Cal?
I've got one question. Melissa and Turning Mill have received the Spanish translation for the flyer. They sent back the draft flyer. It looks like it's ready to print. There was a question around whether you need help with the translation for the radio show, not radio show, sorry, for the radio PSA.
So I, actually, right after our meeting, I got an email from Erica Brown at Radio Kingston who said, hey, let's sit down and chat about all the outreach for the Earth Fair. And I gave her a couple dates and we haven't connected yet. Once that happens, I will know the answer to that question.
Okay,
Are you interested in doing a PSA?
I can help.
Help meaning do it?
I think so. Well, I don't know when it will be.
Yeah.
But I told Melissa, if she sends me the English text of the PSA, I can make the translation and I can probably go to Radio Kingston and help record it if they need me to do that.
Okay.
But I assume that they have someone who can read Spanish, so
Yeah.
like either way, let me know what's needed, I guess, is the request.
Perfect.
To Julie, also Radio Kingston has a couple of Spanish programs,
Yes,
That's it.
so if I could touch base with them.
perfect.
Great idea.
Excellent. Anything else on Earth Fair that folks want to chat about right now? By the way, we are within budget. Our goal was to raise about 20,000. We raised about 19.5, so we are right there. Well done, well done.
Can we just have hands of like how many people are willing to do the flyer posting and the rack card distribution? Because we'll need to do it before the next meeting. Okay, great. Oh, wow. Yay. Okay, cool.
All right, I did mention that we were going to move paint recycling up, so this is a good time, outreach and education. So the event is confirmed. It is May 31st from 8 to 1. And I had a call the other day with Green Sheen. We are doing it at the plaza. There's a little bit of detail that still needs to be worked out on logistics because I thought we were gonna do it over by the train, because I was told by the plaza that there's no events happening that day and there's a train ride that day. So I have to figure that out still, but we're still doing it at the plaza regardless. What I need from you all, I just got the QR code from Green Sheen. They put the whole thing together. It is now a live event. So people can now register. All I need to do is I need to take the QR code and insert it into Cal's flyer, and then we are going to push that out.
this is May 31st?
Yes. So I will send it to all of you. I don't know if we want to physically flyer places or just use social promotion. Well,
I would suggest at least physically flyering in all of the hardware
Yeah.
stores. And maybe the Restore, so like I think the Restore should get flyers, I think Herzog should get flyers, they're right there, they'll want flyers, but I think if Home Depot or Lowe's will let us put up flyers, we should put up flyers there. I think if like any of the like Salvation Army or Goodwill or like the sort of secondhand places that will take it, I think they should get flyers. And maybe the transfer stations should get flyers if they'll take it. But I recognize that that is work that someone has to do. So if we can't do it, we can't do it. But that would be my suggestion.
great suggestion. We'll make it happen. Some combination of Phil and I will put those out.
And so the QR is ready, so you'll send that to me and I will send you back the final flyer or?
What do I have? Just a PDF?
Yeah,
Then yes.
probably, or, yeah.
Yep, I'll
Okay.
send you that.
Great.
Also, I'm going to give everyone in this room right of first refusal. If you don't let me know, I'm going to move on to other connections that I have, and I need to fill this up fast. We need 10 to 15 people that will work 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. that day You will receive breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and $100 cash when you complete it. You need to be older than 17 years old. You will not be getting paid by the city, you will be getting paid by Green Sheet. You cannot double dip and also get paid by the city for overtime at the same time. For your own job, I would suggest. I need 10 to 15 people. I've already mentioned it on the slide to DPW, somebody at DPW, who I said I'm going to ask them next. And I guarantee that they will say yes to, so, but I want to open it to Climate Smart. You can also go and just volunteer, but they will be paying 10 to 15 people, $20 an hour for 5 hours cash. Is there anyone from Climate Smart that would like to do that?
Probably me.
I won't say problem with me.
Tell me again the times.
8 to 1, May 31st. Your only job will be taking paint out of people's vehicles and putting it in the truck.
Great.
That's
Yeah.
the job.
I could.
Plus breakfast, lunch, and $100.
I just need to double check I have it.
So Anthony, Cal, Jake.
Phil.
Phil.
I gotta double check my schedule, but.
Anyone else?
Only that day, that weekend.
Okay. I will let them know and I'll open up 10 positions to DPW.
Sweet.
All right, and let's help to promote that as much as possible. So that also needs to go on social media.
Who did I contact you?
Who does who contact?
Oh, for this,
To register?
Yeah.
It will all be on the flyer. You have to go onto the website, which is the,
okay.
I don't have it in front of me right now. People do need to pre-register. You all that are gonna work don't need to do anything except for just affirm with me. Actually, I'm going to assume unless you tell me otherwise that it is a yes. If you tell me as soon as possible, it's not a yes.
Great.
Okay. Anything else on that event? All right, well done, folks, on that. Moving on to clean electricity, building decarbonization electrification. That is referencing the carbon neutral project at Annie Murphy. I'm moving forward with NIPA. They've given me an authorization to proceed that I'm reviewing. It's not signed yet, but authorization to proceed that I need to sign off on that will then connect me with their sub who will be doing the design work. I can't remember right now who the sub is. And I haven't looked at the ATP and I will look at it in a moment when someone else is talking and I'm not the person who's talking. So, and I don't know what the timeline is or really a lot of the details, and I haven't reviewed the authorization to proceed yet, so. But that is where that project is going to be moving forward. Here it is. It will bring us to 30% design. Based on the audit findings that were done by Noresco. We will not be moving forward with Noresco, just an FYI. And I don't know if it even states here who we're working with. It does involve a couple of test wells. Find out and get that deal. Okay. So the thermal energy network, I don't really have any update. We meet still weekly and we're still doing our due diligence. Kevin, if you feel like there's anything we need to update folks on.
No, I don't think so at this point. That was just meeting different groups and getting information.
Right. Okay, municipal solar installations, I have been working with the planning board to do a lot line deletion. This is the First Avenue property that I'm talking about right now. So they've approved a lot line deletion there. I need to then now just make that official with our assessor's office, and our surveyor. And now I need to move forward with design and permitting, so I will be working on putting out a request for proposals for a design firm to be designing that project. And that firm will also work on permitting, which will include a wetland permit, because it is proximate to a wetland. Yep, not ideal, but we'll see, maybe it'll move forward and maybe it won't.
Usually a temporary issue anyway.
Yes, let's hope so.
There's new wetlands, so
There are new wetland regs.
and it doesn't impact your buildable area.
Yes, I don't know the answers to that yet, so we will see. My other municipal solar installations, I did get all my approvals that are needed for the pool, finally. And so I hope that the procurement of materials will happen in early April, and hopefully the installation will happen by the summer. And we're just waiting on one more historic approval. They'll be going before the Historic Preservation Landmarks Committee on April 2nd, 7th, whenever the next HLPC meeting is.
Next Thursday.
And hopefully once that is complete, we will have the go-ahead to move forward with the Rhino Neighborhood Center installation. But also, I've now signed off on the contract with Ulster County, so have permissions to move forward on the Hasbrook Park installation. So lots of authorizations to proceed on those projects. Battery storage, anything on battery storage?
Julie, when we talk about battery storage, are we talking about residential battery storage in conjunction with solar installation?
I don't have any we're talking about. We just put battery storage on here. Whenever we want to talk about battery storage comes up. I would like to be more honed in on what we're talking about, so we have an actionable item, but I don't have, our office hasn't been working on battery storage, so any effort on battery storage is happening through this commission.
Battery is on the 2025 new initiatives if you pick it up. And so if we pick it up, I think we'll have something to talk about here. And if we decide not to, we can just cross off the agenda. It's recurring, but there isn't usually an update.
Okay, are there anything to report on at this time? Okay.
I just know that like moratoriums are popping up all over the state against battery energy systems. So I don't know if there's anything to do, but just keep an eye on like that not happening in Kingston, which I don't think it would, but.
My understanding is that the state is in the process of working on like what's a protocol for battery storage. Or how you would say that.
So there were a few fires that happened that like large scale installations, and so the state went through the whole process of doing an after action review and came out with a report, providing recommendations related to battery storage safety. And some of them have to do with the code cycle and changes in the code. So kind of depending on what the recommendation is, there's different parts of the state that are then implementing them. But so there's a set of recommendations now implemented by different bodies.
So it's back down to like our level for deciding how to proceed.
Some of them are just recommendations that like I think will get implemented in the next code cycle. I don't know when the next code cycle is.
There is a pretty big section in the county's 70 by 30 plan about battery storage and its future in the county.
Yeah, Manager Green is a big advocate, so I'm not surprised.
Okay, well, we will revisit this once we hear back at the next meeting. Community solar and CCA, I don't actually have any updates unless anyone else does.
Are they still waiting on?
We have approvals. We did have an internal meeting with MHET and the mayor about the future of CCA for Kingston, and I would say there was no reconciliation at that meeting.
I see.
And so I don't really know what to talk about CCA at this meeting. I don't really know what's happening.
Which is, is the community solar still accepting signups?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the community on that?
Still accepting signups. All right, the solar sighting
Is
report,
that something we should promote at Earth Fair?
this community solar, for sure. If I would guess that did MHET sign up as a vendor yet?
I would have to double check that they, I mean,
Yeah, I saw their logo.
be there, yeah.
They're there, yeah, absolutely. The municipal renewable energy implementation plan, if you are going to review it, please get me comments by Friday. It is bulky and comprehensive, and we would love comments, and if I don't have them by Friday, I'm moving forward. So just note, if you're going to do that, please do so. And then from there, I will be taking the comments I've received so far, which have been some from folks, and making those modifications. Some have been some points that we actually need to kind of check back in our review. So Phil and Brad and I will be reconvening. I would guess it's going to take about a month more, and then we will send that over to the county.
Well,
The municipal renewable energy implementation plan.
was this the big document you had last time? Do you have any more hard copies of that I could like borrow and return it even? It's just hard for me to read documents.
No, but I can print one and give it to you, but that wouldn't be till tomorrow.
I could come to Kingston.
Okay. Actually,
If it's
I'm
not a
in
big
the conference all day, so maybe Phil can print it.
Yeah, I can do it.
Great, and have it available.
Sure,
Yeah.
where would where do you work at?
I'm at the Andy Murphy.
Okay, on the second floor?
Yep.
Okay, I could come get it.
Right next to
Thanks.
Julie.
I wanted to look it over, but I can't read the document that long.
Perfect. I'd rather have it comments in writing anyway. All right, moving on to clean hydrogen. The moment we've been waiting for a long time. Move your papers, people, it's happening.
There's a table. Somebody's gotta be on that end to catch it.
What are we expecting? Give us like a quick, what we should be expecting. You're running the car down
Am
the
I
road.
in the way or am I okay?
No, you're good, it's gonna go
All right, well, I guess,
from here to there.
how is it not going to splash all over? Because that's the catching part. I have to catch it. Quick stop it
Explanation.
before it goes over.
Whoops.
Melissa,
This
you're,
is,
this
the
is
still
happening.
water. We need to use the.
What did you say?
The car.
Okay, it is a proton exchange membrane, that means it's reversible. You can use this, if you electrify it, it'll separate the hydrogen and the oxygen. So it'll act as an electrolyte, the same unit. And then when you reverse it, and you put a load on it, like a motor, then it acts as a fuel cell. So this is the model that I think Toyota is going to be using for their water car. A reversible proton exchange membrane. All right, so this is distilled water. And what I'm going to do, these are two 1.5 volt batteries, right? So we're going to electrify it. So that means that we only need 3 volts in order to separate hydrogen and oxygen. Okay. There you go. Hope it moves.
So the first step is started and then you started.
Yes.
That's cool.
Can you see this, Melissa?
No,
Yeah.
it's way too far away. But I'm listening.
It'll be coming to you.
Oops.
You see,
You're gonna take a picture, Betta.
Video for you. Tell me when to start over here. Let's move this.
And this is a kit you.
now, right now, we should hit, you see the bubbles?
Yeah. There you
Oh
go.
my gosh, there's bubbles.
That's separating hydrogen
Yes,
gas.
separating the hydrogen and the
Color
oxygen.
and hydrogen.
And then this is gonna be, the oxygen will be stored in this tank, and the
Hydrogen.
what do you call it, the hydrogen here and oxygen here. And bigger tank because, there are more, hydrogen has 2 molecules and oxygen only has 1 molecule. Oh, that stuff here. Thank you. Thank you. My wife always comes to save me. 3 minutes, we need about 3 minutes, just go ahead.
Is it going to spontaneously start or do you have to hit
Flip
something?
it, right, flip the wires.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we're gonna put the load on it, and the load will be the actual, you'll see.
it's converting the energy from the
And this should
battery
be pretty quick.
into the storage hydrogen energy.
Yes.
But you could do that with a solar panel, you could do that with anything that makes enough voltage, but very low voltage.
Very low.
So right now it's using that energy to break the water apart and store it as hydrogen energy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
We could
very
talk about
helpful.
setting it up on like the Hudson or something so that you've got the energy from the water moving, and the energy from the water moving could be the thing that divides the oxygen and hydrogen, and then you've got a really.
We're talking about water turbines from the Hudson or from some, directly to the electrolyzer. That's all you need. Current going to the electrolyzer, it'll separate the hydrogen and the oxygen. And then you compress it, goes into the fuel cell, it produces electricity. And that only for an automobile, for buildings, for going into the grid.
So how does it scale? So you're using 3 volts for this little car, but how does that scale to like a normal car?
It scales up.
Right, like
I mean,
substantial.
I don't know, depending how much water you want to convert.
And the range of it as well, right?
What did you say, Jake?
The rate of conversion of water into hydrogen.
And the volume, as well, how much water you're gonna convert.
So this is like there's like that distinction between blue and green hydrogen fuel, right? And that's just a matter of like where the electricity is coming from for this process.
Well, that's
Yeah.
right. Blue is like gas, right? Green is like renewable.
Is it question of liquid, you're saying,
Like they have these like industry terms for like.
The green.
oh, this is green,
Yes,
this
that's
is green, definitely green.
Why is it green?
Well,
Battery
because
recharge.
it's not, these batteries are not considered, what do you call it, polluting.
Because they're rechargeable.
I mean, they're rechargeable.
Oh,
Maybe originally the creation of them was polluting, but just like solar for cells, right? When you actually manufacture them, you are creating some pollution. Same thing. So yeah, you want to use green energy. You want to use wind, solar thermal, any produce
So
electricity.
ideally, these batteries were charged via solar energy or whatever.
But not for solar. Like a car would be like
It's industry terms.
burning.
It's essentially,
Resident guy, ready?
which I don't understand how this car works, but it's not.
Okay, let me know, I'm just gonna do the amount.
Fuel. It's recombined.
Because it can't, what,
It's
Yeah, I think we
recombined.
combine them,
It's not
it's
right.
like-
Right. It's recombining rather
The mo-
Pretty cool.
Turn it around, man.
Yeah, let's see. if we can
I
get
love
like
that
a
you
box.
put like a little dude in.
Melissa's hand is raised.
Melissa, go ahead.
I just wanted to say on the whole green blue hydrogen that I remember our policy analyst had submitted some sort of comments to the Public Service Commission, urging them to like refer to zero emission hydrogen, because not all green hydrogen is zero emission, or there's like something within that kind of terminology that's a little convoluted. So I don't really understand it, but yeah,
There's gray,
just flagging.
blue, and there's green.
Oh,
And gray is polluting. Blue is polluting, but then the pollution is offset by scrubbers or whatever. And then green is green.
And pink is what?
So those are the
Pink
three
is
ways
nuclear,
hydrogen.
and there are like a bunch of other colors too.
They got
I
it.
think, but those are-
There's more?
They gone too far.
There's more coming?
Nuclear is like creating the electricity that would be turned into, that would be used to power the electrolysis process.
That's pink.
And that's,
Yeah, we use nuclear to
That's fine.
produce the electricity for the hydrogen.
but so they just did the rules for the hydrogen tax credit, I think, and there was a lot of like public comment and like, expert comments around that type of stuff, because, depending on how you define renewable within the tax code, like it can really impact which projects get funding.
Yep.
So like, and the hydrogen hubs, one of them was supposed to be like blue, one of them was supposed to be green, one of them was supposed to be a gas. Like, they were trying out all of these technologies, and one of them was supposed to be like a gas plant with, CCS, or like with carbon capture. So, that was like in the law that one of them had to be, I guess, blue.
That's like pilot.
As like pilots, but like now there's the question of will those hubs even continue, because hydrogen is pretty hard to commercialize at this point in time, because the main input is not, like, we're not worried about the water so much as the electricity and the cost of the electricity, because if you're using hydrogen, it depends on the end uses, right? Like what actually makes sense and what, because you're converting electricity to a storable form of very powerful fuel, which is hydrogen, but then you have to use a ton of electricity to do electrolysis. So electrolyzers these days are not that advanced, like they're working on improving them, and there are like improvements in like the chemical barriers, like the membranes that you could use. But overall, like it's not that efficient, so we would have to use it for things like maybe like airplane fuel. Because it is like, it's really powerful, right? But it takes a lot to produce it.
Could I ask, what is
And also heavy transportation.
Yeah, like trucking maybe.
And also, I know Toyota and Hyundai and Honda have really put a lot of money into hydrogen. I suspect it will be coming to the East Coast soon, at some point. And I think that one of the reasons that it hasn't arrived yet is because it's expensive.
Yeah.
But
It's
as you
the
put
main-
more money, and as you put more investment, and you scale up, and the technology, becomes, acceptable and workable, then you're gonna get more investment. It's like any disruptive technology, right? People have to have confidence in it, realize that it works, realize that it's gonna be profitable, and they're gonna invest in it, and then you start scaling up, and the price comes down, and
Cal?
Just, was this for state or federal level tax credit?
Federal level tax credits, yeah.
Could I ask, maybe somebody knows, how does the efficiency compared to like gasoline or diesel? 'Cause it's like electricity, just pure electricity for like an electric car, you're like, the efficiency is way, way higher. But how, like, is it less efficient to use a hydrogen fuel cell than, like, do you have to put more energy in than the equivalent that you'd be getting from a gallon of gasoline? Does that make sense?
So like, are you asking if like hydrogen cars would be more efficient than like electric cars?
I'm asking like in terms of like the total energy.
Yeah,
Is, like, I can understand that the hydrogen fuel cell car is gonna be less efficient than just using the electricity in the first place.
Right.
But how does it compare to the energy that is taken from a gallon of gasoline to power a car?
it's
Like,
more efficient.
It's more efficient, so.
No,
okay, so
even
it's-
though the density by weight is the most efficient of all. But the problem with hydrogen is so light that to make it efficient, you have to compress it. And that's,
There's no
so the
way.
next, yes,
Yeah.
and to transport it, it has to be compressed as well.
and I meant to send around that report, it's on my to-do list, but I can send that to more folks. There's like this report that WRI put out about hydrogen end uses, which is like in which applications, because we know how to make it, but like in which applications is it most efficient to apply hydrogen? Because, if you're thinking about converting electricity into something else, no matter how renewable that electricity is, you're still paying a lot of money to produce it.
Yeah.
And
so it's like the profitability question.
Probably the most maximum use of any, of producing electricity would be, water turbine.
Yes, yeah,
That's the best way to go,
right.
because, it's not gonna cost you, the cost is minimal, the cost of the turbine and installation. Anyway, we did it.
We did it.
This guy loves it.
This thing from?
Yes, sir?
Where'd you get
This?
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble.
it?
That was one of those little science.
Yes.
Where?
Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and
Oh,
Noble.
Barnes.
Okay, $90 for this, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And now when I researched it, it's like $300-400.
Wow.
Wow, okay.
Just
Good
kidding.
investment.
Yeah.
Did you have to build it?
That's
Did you
right.
have
Yeah.
to build
Did you put that together or did it come?
Yeah, no, I put it together.
it?
Very
Thank you
cool.
so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a pleasure.
All right, moving on. Anyone have anything for education and workforce opportunities in green jobs? I mentioned some green jobs before. If you would like an environmental education position, see
That-
above.
That post did not seem to be on the website. All of the like summer camp jobs were there, but I didn't see the seasonal educator on the rec
Well,
website, so.
that is because the seasonal educator technically falls under seasonal laborer, and the camp counselor and the junior naturalist job technically falls under camp counselor,
Okay,
which you wouldn't, anyone would know by looking at it, but I'll send the blurb to Melissa.
okay.
All right, sustainable mobility and land use, clean city fleet transition. Phil, do you have any updates on that?
So the police department ordered their new, oh my gosh, it's not, the Equinox EVs. I don't know the status of when those are arriving, but I'm pretty sure it's like you order and then they manufacture the car for you, so it'll be a little while at least. And that's all for the detectives. So that's a pretty big change. I think it's 8 vehicles. That's the only big, more recent purchase that I know of. Oh, actually, sorry. DPW is, they at least asked my advice and I assume that they've gone forward with purchasing their first electric vehicle. I think I mean, the way we talked about it, they were gonna go for some kind of SUV or something like that. I think another Equinox actually.
Any update on the renewable diesel?
Renewable diesel, yeah, so I guess that's city fleet transition. So renewable diesel is a little strange with the state bid system. As opposed to like other fuels where you just say, I want fuel, and every week whoever is contracted with the state says this is how much it's gonna cost, because renewable diesel is so new and the demand isn't super high. It's, you have to individually negotiate with the supplier. And the way we've left it is, I guess, yeah, I sent an email out to everyone today. The way that it sounded like the mayor was interested in going was doing a little pilot to see, because when we spoke with the fuel supplier, it was sort of difficult to understand how much more it was gonna cost, which gave everyone, and how, yeah, and it was like, oh, hold on a second. And the system is different because it's nothing's set in stone, blah, 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 blah. So I think we'll do a pilot, see how much more it costs, and then work from there. And the nice thing is the pilot means that we've reduced, even if it's just that one pilot, we've reduced the greenhouse gas emissions of the city of Kingston.
I'm sorry, this was for a garbage truck?
No, this is for any diesel engine.
Oh, any
Yeah.
diesel.
So it's just gonna get poured into the tank that has the diesel right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just pay like we gotta figure it out, like one vehicle or something?
No, it's just poured in with the diesel.
It's,
It's
probably
hard for
will need to be
one,
our
so-
entire fleet. Because we only have one fueling tank and we won't have a traditional diesel tank and a renewable diesel tank. So the
Yeah.
pilot is, all vehicles that are diesel are getting on this, because
They're
we're putting it in
And
a
not
tank.
do it
Yeah,
for a
probably.
period of time and just.
We'll have to see how it works. Like maybe start with a single purchase, see how it goes.
Yeah.
If something crazy happens, then maybe
See
think
how
twice
it
about
is
it.
costing, see
Yeah.
how the vehicles perform.
Yeah.
They're the same.
Yeah, I mean, everything about it, like, I'm pretty convinced at this point, speaking with like New York City and
Yeah.
everybody, that
Just
it's
drop it.
it really doesn't actually change anything in
Wow.
terms of the vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's exactly what you want.
That's
Like,
so funny.
Yeah.
engineering infrastructure.
Broad.
and it's like a deeply unsexy
Yeah.
like, solution.
I love that.
Which I think is why it's like it is used in a lot of places, and I just had no idea.
Right, it's like non-controversial, because
Yeah.
everyone's like, sure, okay.
Yeah.
It's
So
not like
agricultural
everyone else,
folks
it's
in
not like we have no more land, because all land is being produced for corn. because-
Yeah, exactly. That would be unfortunate.
Right, corn is not the
Question,
feedstock. Corn's not the
Is
feedstock.
renewable diesel, it's not a type of like biodiesel, or is it?
It's coming from the same like sort of what are the feedstock is the same, but then it's refined.
Oh, okay, so it is a type of biodiesel, just more refined.
Essentially, I mean it's one of those. It's like the green and the blue
Yeah, it's a type of
hydrogen.
biofuel, I should
It's a
say.
type of biofuel, but it's not biodiesel.
Got it.
Exactly.
Because you don't need to modify the engine to burn it, and you would for biodiesel.
Yeah, and it's chemically it's distinct because it's been refined.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what automobiles.
But it's because it's a one-for-one replacement for diesel, the thought is that it can also be used for fuel oil, which is what,
So this is biodiesel, right? Biodiesel? This is biodiesel you're talking about, right?
it's this different, it's like biodiesel, but it's been refined so it's exactly the same as diesel, except it's not coming from like whatever, like from algae from 400 million years ago, it's coming from soybeans that were grown in upstate New
Main
York.
feedstocks in 2022 were yellow grease, soybean oil, corn oil, tallow, and canola oil.
Yeah.
Tallow.
I don't know what yellow grease is.
Yellow grease.
We've gone off.
Can't just say it.
So, but it has to be grown.
Also, just use cooking oil or waste
Yeah,
vegetables.
it doesn't need, it's one of those things where it's like, if we got our acts together, any kind of oil,
That's great.
like the tallow, like it could come from animals as well, it could come from any kind of, any organic oil that's not a fossil fuel.
That's what yellow grease is apparently.
Oh,
Wait, what
that's
is it?
cool.
Yellow grease is used cooking oil.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sweet.
That's understandable.
It tends to be though, like the majority of it in, at least in the renewable diesel that people use in the States. And then, okay, so it's actually called hydrotreated vegetable oil is what Europeans call it.
Okay.
Which is getting closer to like a less ambiguous name. The vegetable doesn't include tallow, so hydrotreated or organic oil or something.
Okay.
Not to be
Anyway.
confused with hydrogenated vegetables.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Which is margarine.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, it
Just like
seems,
margarine in your.
I think a lot of it is, so it's coming from like soybeans and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we will look forward to that. EV infrastructure, at this point, we just have one, project is still not a contract for the level 3. And our level 2 that was supposed to go to building safety likely is going to get moved to a different site, but I am still waiting on approvals from the state to modify the location because a larger project is happening at building safety because they have an entire fleet that really needs to be charged there. They have the largest fleet of all of our departments, largest electric vehicle fleet of all the departments. And so they're actually overhauling their entire charging system down there to better and more efficient.
They're the first, I think every vehicle they have is electric.
Yeah, so if you're ever driving down 9W towards Fort Ewan, you look over to the right before Garrigan Drive, that building there with all the white cars, all of those cars are electric, their whole division. Bike share, we talked about before, so there's nothing else to add there.
We're removing that from the agenda moving forward, right?
I'm gonna change it to clean mobility, if that becomes a thing of a priority. Community Preservation Fund, we have raised to date $10,437.79, which is amazingly great, sitting around just gathering money. The first meeting of the Community Preservation Advisory Board was held, and we will be meeting the fourth Wednesday of the month at 8 a.m. You may say to yourself, today's the fourth Wednesday of the month. Yes, it is. So I am going to sandwich my day early morning and late in the evening with 2 really cool boards.
Lucky you.
Yes.
It's a long day.
That's a long day, that's all right. That's okay. I'd rather have another evening of the month free than to add another meeting. So that board is fantastic, as is this board, and we'll be advising the city on how to spend it once we get a little bit more money.
Is it full or are you still finding?
It is full.
Okay, perfect.
Oh,
Yep.
great.
And we will be bringing in folks from New Paltz at our next meeting to talk to us about how their board makes decisions.
Cool.
Cool. Kingston Organics is going great. We're up to 560 families, 1,126 people, 57.38 tons have been diverted thus far. We are still moving forward with our design for the next phase. It seems as though the next phase will get moved a little bit faster than we thought because we were gonna wait for the truck. And now it seems like we might not wait for the truck, we might just start. So it might start as early as January.
Next phase being curbside or?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's great.
So will that be a separate truck or would it be like you say?
Ultimately, once I get my electric packer, it will be its own designated electric packer.
Okay,
For now, it's not really sure how we're going to work it, but it's probably going to be an existing packer. But yes, it will be separate, and then it won't be provided. Or do you mean separate from the drop-off points?
no, I was like wondering if it would go into like multiple separate trucks.
No.
Okay.
And then what about, like, I don't have a dumpster, I just like put garbage bags on the streets, live in an apartment, so how's that going curbside?
You will be getting a small green
Oh,
5-gallon can.
All residential?
Just residential, and then we will be evaluating the efficacy of that and the contamination levels, and based on that, we will decide when we will roll out commercial, which is where the substantially higher risk of contamination
And then it would
exists.
be curbside by our fleet, by the city fleet.
Yes.
And the drop-off points are gonna stick around?
We're going to keep them for 6 months to evaluate if there is continued use. If
Oh.
after 6 months, there's not a justifiable amount of continued use, we will divest from them.
What type of education would happen before the,
There's going to be multiple EDDM, every door direct mail mailers. Everyone gets a mailer to their home. There will be in-person classes, programs like public meetings and workshops here. There will be tons of information on the website, social media, all that. So I'll keep you posted on the timeline. I don't have any update on the food systems policy unless you do.
No, just that, if anyone's like super interested in food here, there probably will be opportunities to help with the task force, that it's forthcoming.
I'm interested in food.
Cool.
Great.
That's anyone.
Great.
Resiliency initiatives, Kingston Point Park improvements, timeline is moving along, which is great. I have a meeting with the DEC next week back down at Kingston Point, because the last time we had a meeting with them at the wetland, there was substantially less natural succession. Now there is substantially more wetland succession, and so it's probably going to change our design slightly.
What does that mean?
Meaning that even 2 years ago and 2 years before that, substantially less, and 2 years before that, substantially less. What was a parking lot underneath looked like a parking lot, then looked a little bit like a wetland, then looked more like a wetland, and now is fully a wetland. And so,
Well,
while
where-
as 2 years ago, our intent was to remove all the asphalt.
Yeah.
If I were to remove all the asphalt now, I would be setting back the succession probably 10 years.
Hmm.
You cannot tell it was a parking lot.
Wait,
no, it's just.
The flooded
that's
part
why
of
I
the
was
parking
like,
lot behind the
can't
house,
see
I think,
Yeah,
that's a big
yes.
house,
Yes.
like,
I didn't even know that was part of it, okay.
right, yeah. You got it recently, you only thought about the spot.
Right, so it is a wetland.
Wow, okay.
Is there any problem with the asphalt underneath? Potentially, or not really, just stays?
Well, this is why we're meeting with DEC, because they have been
Find out
like,
if
you
they
need to remove the asphalt, and I'm going to make the argument. Look at the succession, it's natural succession, and think about the model that we could be, or the research project that we could be over time in the valley for,
Right.
hey, all these riverfront communities that have flooding. that happen,
Yeah,
let it happen naturally.
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna wanna sample the water over time, be like, is the
Yes.
asphalt leaching?
Is it
Like,
leaching?
What's happening
Right.
as it breaks
But
down?
if we were to have to remove it, I would have to put a milling machine in the existing wetland, we would have to clear the entire thing, which means the entire succession of everything that's happened
So it's,
would be set back. I don't know. So what do we do?
If I'm not mistaken, it's also right next to a landfill,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
I mean, it's like, well,
Is it pristine and should you just?
Right.
Like, what do you expect?
Yes. Yes.
What standard are we trying to meet?
So the timeline currently is that the construction will happen this fall. It's only supposed to be 4 to 6 weeks of construction, which will be elevating the parking lot half of it, which will be 55 parking spots, elevating that up to 6.5 feet. Right now it's at like 3, so we'll be even with the parking lot on the other side. 55 parking spots, a earthen berm, and then wetland.
This is a mega burn, right?
Mega berm, yeah.
Yeah.
Mega berm.
Amazing.
Yes.
I had no idea that could happen so quick, that's great.
Me too. I agree. New York Swims grant, I'm not in contract yet, so there's nothing yet happening with that project on the actual beach. That's the beach terracing program, still in contract negotiations. raise is the federal funding for the $28 million that we expected to be off the table. However, I saw emails going around today about contracting, which means it's not off the table. Which is really great, because that would have been a huge loss,
Yeah.
both environmentally and cost-wise. I don't have any really other things to report on the hazard mitigation or North Street demos. Although I did have a night terror last night where I said to my husband, "We're having an earthquake." And he said, "No, we're not." "We're having an earthquake." And I said, "Oh, commission." And he said, and then he thought to himself, "Well, maybe we are." So he just waited to feel. And he said, "No, we're not." So I was doing some hazard mitigation. I don't have any new business unless anyone else does. Does anyone have any announcements, communications, events, or updates? Anything from Ulster County Climate Smart Committee?
Not really, sort of going through a reorganization, I would say. If anybody's interested, the chair is still trying to recruit someone representing a business,
Any business?
so.
Oh my gosh, that was me, like several years ago.
I know.
And then I was like, I'm no longer working for a solar company, and I'm like, oh.
We're back at it,
Like up to the local business.
I was
In the
2020.
county, any business in the county.
pretty much, yeah.
And like an employee of a business is good, or?
Anyone know what's the existing?
I worked at a solar company and they're like, great.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be CEO or anything.
No, they just want somebody who will talk about like, this will be good or bad for our business through the lens of me, the person representing.
The chamber.
The chamber could send someone, I suppose, but I don't know that they care.
Yeah.
All right. For social media, we talked about the Parks Department posting or job openings and the paint event. Are there any other social media postings that should happen at this time?
Earth Fair,
Earth
Community
Fair.
Solar.
Earth Fair and Community Solar.
Melissa, do we want to do like a mark your calendars for the April repair cafe, even though we don't have any materials yet, or do we want to wait until we have materials?
I think we should wait, especially for the Hudson Valley Repair Cafe event that they create, and then Climb Smart is like a co-host of. When is Haya coming back from her vacation?
Maya was planning on coming today and said that
Oh.
she was under the weather.
Oh, okay, so she's back. So,
back.
okay, I'll do the job posting one, and then she could do the rest, though.
Okay,
Who's gonna send her, do you want me to send her a list, though?
sure.
Okay.
Do you need us to repeat them?
Yes.
The job postings, the paint event, Earth Fair, and Community Solar.
Okay.
Signups, you need solar signups.
Community Solar. Before we close, I want to ensure that we have quorum at our next meeting, which is April 23rd. Is there anyone who is aware of not being available on April 23rd?
I just agreed to something on April 23rd. Oh, it's just something during the day.
Hearing no one say they won't be here, that means we have quorum. And if there is no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Anthony, second by Jake, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, it is 6:57. Thank you much, everyone. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Connor?
Yeah,